Hi friends, welcome to another video. Thank you so much for being here. This video is about money and what does it mean when we have money wounds, and how do you know if you have money wounds, and also how do you heal those money wounds so that you can attract more abundance into your life starting today, right? So I have always kind of struggled with money, not because I didn't have enough, but so growing up, my parents were really poor, and they didn't have much, right? And my dad wasn't able to provide for us, really. And this created a lot of problems in my parents' marriage, which, like, that was the main friction point in our life, because it was a constant dread of not enough money. Like, my parents constantly fought about not having enough money, or my dad not being able to provide, or my mom not being able to provide, or something along those sorts, right? So I always felt, oh my goodness. So I always felt that I wanted more. Like, I remember growing up and I had to share clothes with my sisters, and the clothes that I did have, they weren't pretty. I just love beautiful things. Like, this is who I am intrinsically, and I would have to wear I don't want to say ugly, but it was very not cute clothes, right? So to me, that was kind of not fun, I would say. Like, living in poverty, right? Living in like a 2-bedroom house for most of my life until, like, well, okay, since I was until I was 13 years old, we lived like in a 2-bedroom house with not having any privacy at all. Like, I don't remember my childhood well because I blocked most of it out. But I know that I shared a room with all of my siblings. And it's not like you had any privacy from your parents or any of that sort. And so I think that, and then also I had to work for money. Starting really young, like starting being a baby, pretty much a child, my parents would put me in the street to sell like fruit and eggs and cheese and milk and so forth, right? So, like, in my mind, I was always thinking of, like, what can I do more for money? And also, I wanted a better life for us. And honestly, I didn't think that was like how my parents handled the money situation in our life. I didn't think that it was healthy, and I wanted better for myself, right? So I did what I thought was really like an amazing thing, right? I went to college, I worked really hard to get my nursing degree, and I got my bachelor's, and I got a great job, right off the bat. I worked really hard to get a good job, a good paying job, a hospital job. And because I fought so hard to get that job, which took me a few months and like a lot of dedication and perseverance, and I finally got a job, and then I was starting to make, I was making more money than I've ever made before. And I was making so much money that literally my whole family combined probably made less. So I think that a part of me really felt guilty for that and felt like I didn't deserve the money. So even though I was making the money, I wasn't really keeping it. I made a lot of purchases that weren't healthy or weren't wise, if you could think of it like that. Or, like, I would lose it somehow. I wasn't saving it. And I mean, there was a point where I was making $8,000 a month as a travel nurse in the Bay Area. And I was living in a really, like, it wasn't really bad, but it was like a small room, dingy room in a house with like 5 other people. So that shows you how much like I felt within me that I was, and also like I was making so much money, but I was always in debt, like always, almost like always had credit cards, always had like somehow an absent, like a lack of money, even though I was making good money. So now I'm at the point I'm like analyzing my whole life and analyzing, because I'm manifesting, I'm working with the power of the universe to manifest money. And I've been learning all of these concepts of, the law of attraction, of abundance, of, I'm just learning so much. And it's not just, I'm learning right now. I've been learning for the past 10, 15 years, like constantly, about abundance, about happiness, about money, about everything, right? So like I'm at the point in my life where I don't want to be in lack anymore. I don't want to accept the notion of that we don't have enough money, because the universe is abundant. We are abundant within ourselves, and we can have this abundance in our lives, right? And I want to feel worthy enough inside of me that I can attract this abundance, and I can also keep this abundance, right? It's one thing attracting it like through different forms of income and so forth, but like there's people that attract billions of dollars and then they lose it all within 1 to 2 months, or maybe even get worse than that, right? So people who win the lottery, for example, right? That shows you that there's much more to money than it seems. Money, mother, right? It's M-O. It's all has to do with our sense of worth and self-love, right? If you weren't loved by your mother and you weren't loved by possibly, just everybody else in your family, this creates a form of lack, not just in physical reality, but also inside of you. So you might be going through your whole life wanting to make more money outside in your reality, but inside you feel like there's a lack. So that's why there is a discrepancy, right? Versus like what you see in your bank account versus what you want, because there is lack inside of us. There is lack mentality. There is the idea that you are unworthy of receiving, or if you receive it, it's bad to receive, or that too much money can create problems, or money is intrinsically evil, or like I was also taught this idea of like, the Bible teaches about how there's this saying in the Bible how it's gonna be harder for a camel to go through like I don't know the word in English, but through something like when you sow, and then a rich person to enter in heaven. So that means like people interpret it as money is evil, or like if I am rich, that means that I will go to hell, right? So which is actually not true, And when you adopt beliefs about money and about yourself as a human being from a really young age, I mean, we all do, right? We absorb information from our environment. And if you grow up in a chaotic, in a dysfunctional family, like I did, in a family that has never enough money, in a family that always fights about money, and like even when you grow up, it still affects you, because like a part of us is still like child inside of us, and has underwent so much trauma around experience of money. And maybe you're afraid of money, right? I feel afraid of money sometimes because I don't want to check my bank account because I'm scared that like I won't have enough, right? So it's almost like it has been like a constant fear of money, and like healing this wounds, right? The first step is always seeing what the reality is. If you have any discrepancy with what you want versus what you have, then there's money wounds there. And we gotta look at that, right? And the way you look at it is by being aware. I would recommend doing a journaling practice and asking yourself, is what I have in my bank account reflect what I want in this life? What the experience that I want to experience in this life, right? And if not, then I want you to examine like your childhood and how did your parents' beliefs and attitudes towards money and abundance affects your life possibly to today's day. Or maybe you learned certain aspects of like lack mentality, right? And the way we heal this is, I mean, it all starts with awareness, right? So like you start understanding like, oh my God, I have these money wounds, like I want to heal them, right? And when you tell that to the universe, they're like, okay, we'll send you the resources, we will provide for you, okay? I will help you. That's what God and the universe and the angels say to us, right? So I invite you to look at your money wounds. And I mean, I've been doing this and it's really helpful, I think, to understand where do these beliefs stem from. And then you can take each belief and do the Katie Byron method, which you answer all 4 questions. Is it true? Can I absolutely know that it's true? How does this statement make me feel or do and act when I believe the statement? Who would I be without this belief? And the 5th one, you take that like, let's say you take the idea like I will never have enough money in my life, right? If that's the belief you want to change. And the 5th one, you change that belief. I will always have enough money in my life. So you take the opposite of that belief and you provide proof, 3 to 4 sentences of why you think that is the truth. If you want to learn more, you can read her book. I will link in the description. And I created a beautiful course that actually is helping me as well as I wanted to help others, of course. And that's what it's going to do, to help heal the money wounds that we have adopted and the idea of us not feeling worthy enough to attract or to keep the money that we desire. I hope you know that you are abundant within yourself and you don't need to suffer in this life. When it comes to money, when it comes to health, when it comes to nothing, right? You don't have to suffer. And the idea that we have to suffer or have lack or have, pain is instilled in us as children. And you have to go in there in that room inside of your being and like clean up the trauma, clean up the ideas of like, oh, there's never going to be enough money, or I'm never going to have enough money, or there's always lack, the universe doesn't love us, I'm forgotten, I don't know what I'm going to do to pay my bills, all of these fears, right? So I hope that this video inspires you to take action today by looking at your money wounds. And when you do that, you can transform your belief system, you can transform your life, you can attract more abundance today and keep the abundance too. And I hope that this video helps you, and I send you much love. Mwah, bye-bye. You are abundant, you are great. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Mwah.